So, Tonnon, what do you make of it? What you've heard tonight?
I was really inspired by the first panel, and I thought it was really interesting to hear how much great stuff is going on in South Auckland. I was very impressed.
Yeah, no, it's interesting actually. Yeah, and like I said, as the spin-off pointed out, all the candidates in that ward for council are actually very impressive. There's a lot of leadership, I think, that we're not tapping out there.
Yeah.
Do you think so too, Patrick?
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the Generation Zero scorecards, that's your best guide.
There you go. Patrick, you guys at Transport Blog, the spin-off, and the younger folk at Generation Zero have, I would say, radically upped the level of information around the issues you care about, the local issues you care about. You've all done it with an agenda to some degree or another. Are advocacy media the future in this space?
Yes. And don't forget Bike Auckland. Yeah, in that list.
Because you're all publishing, that's the thing.
Well,
that's really
what
interesting.
we got completely fed up with is people just shouting from, established positions with no detail, no facts. All it leads to is disengagement. So we set out to just ask questions at a technical level, really. Just and forget about. We just drop the idea that the right people make the right decisions. How's about we just focus on the right decisions and we don't care about who the people are, Pippa. So by focusing on facts and technical things, we hope to take the bluster and the bullshit out of it. If we can, because the disengagement is...
It would be fair to say that the average Transport Blog post, even I can't get through them sometimes because they are so full of facts, so full of data, so full of jargon. Is there a gap to be bridged there as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Being boring is a real problem. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. You know anyone any good at that?
Patrick, could I interrupt there? Because Patrick, I admire how vocal you are, and you're always talking about the future of Auckland. You seem really inspired. You've got lots of energy. Why aren't you becoming part of our council?
That's been asked a bit, but nobody needs another middle-aged white man.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, seriously, and I'm picking. By the way, I think we're at a watershed. I think there's going to be some changes out of this election, and I really think something has been, in a really good way, broken. It's going to break at this.
This is a more exciting election than others, you're saying?
Yeah.
Is it Chloe?
Is it?
Is it Chloe that's doing that?
Well, not alone. I mean, all through, there's Richard Hills on the shore, there's Matthew Cross, there's Efeso. It's got a song. We've heard tonight. I think we saw tonight already where the energy is. I know, I agree with the idea we shouldn't focus on age, but there's a lot of cynicism amongst the older age group, and we saw energy and positivism and hope for the future from the younger candidates. And that's what we need.
Tonnon, your song Railway Lines is about an ageing man in Auckland who's campaigned for all the right things, for public transport, public art on the subways, and he's starting to see it all happen. Was that song about Patrick?
Well, I have a confession. It's actually more about me. I mean, it was funny because you mentioned Generation Zero and the few groups that are really doing some good things for transport. So I made 3 complaints in about 2 months to Auckland Transport. What I used to have the urge when something went wrong with the bus. I used to have the urge to tweet at them because that's where a lot of this anger goes. But you can't go at Richie's. They don't have a Twitter thing. And so eventually I started thinking about it and going, well, actually the rational thing to do here is to make a complaint. And so I'd call up while I was waiting for the bus and say, hi, this thing's gone wrong. I'd just like to make sure it's an official complaint, please. So I was really horrified to see that when Generation Zero put up those things on the bus stops that say, does your bus suck? Auckland Council tells us that they don't get any complaints. So I was really horrified to see that my voice wasn't getting heard. And I think you said a really great thing, Patrick, about focusing on the technical solutions rather than who's the right person to do them. I do find that there's that disconnect. A couple of people have mentioned today that there's disconnect between calling the council and actually getting something done. And I'll give you two examples. One is when one of these complaints I made is I said, hey, I think it's crazy that you can't top up your hop card from your credit card instantly online. You've got to wait 72 hours. And then you look for a shop to buy top up your hop card. You can't do it. So you've got to go and get out a $20 note. The bus driver hates you. And you pay more than double the price. And so I called up and I said, I'd just like this to be a complaint. And so I got a call 2 days later from someone from the council, and I said, oh, look, you didn't really need to call me. I'd rather it was just lodged as a complaint, so it's kind of on your to-do list. And they said, no, well, we're just explaining why it's impossible. And the other thing was when they had the bus out to show you the new plan for the buses, which I loved, by the way, for the most part. I was talking to the guy there, and I said, well, why do I have to top up? Why do I have to tag off with the hop card? In Melbourne, you don't have to tag off.
Tagging off is great, by the way.
Well, statistics is what he said.
Yeah, data. Data.
But his attitude.
We want that data.
But his attitude was just, no, can't do that. There was no explanation. It was like, no, you're wrong. And that's what I get so much when I'm making complaints to the council.
So your complaint is about complaints.
Yeah.
I have to say,
Better complaining.
I had a similar experience with Watercare because I live in Point Chevalier, and although our property values are spiralling upwards, we have very, very old infrastructure, and we kept losing our water supply because the 1930s pipes kept bursting. And I complained about it enough on Twitter that they eventually sent someone around to talk to me and show me the maps and assure me it was going to be okay. And I said, well, this probably wasn't necessary. If you were, say, on Facebook or Twitter, it would be much easier. And the guy went, yeah, you're right. I do not understand, unless the explanation is that they don't want people to contact them. I do not understand why Watercare, a council-owned company, are not on social media. It's absurd. The only thing you can do if your pipe bursts around the corner is call them on the telephone.
Yeah, but I mean, Auckland Transport's on Twitter. On Twitter, they have a Twitter handle, but nothing happens.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
you guys abuse them all the time.
I know, but it just falls into a void.
They avoid conflict.
Yeah. That's enormously frustrating. A lack of customer focus is basically the problem.
Do you have any insight into this 72 hours problem?
No, the hop is a mystery. It has a couple of fatal, critical problems that they have failed to address in the number of years that it's been there. Not least of which is the thing that whatever you do, never link your hop card to a credit card. Don't ever do that, because when your credit card expires, which it will, you will be nuked by hop. But if nothing else, Auckland Transport could at least say that. Say, just link it to a current account or They have, now you can buy them over the counter in dairies and things, that's new. But like integrated fares, I bet you nobody here really knows about integrated fares. Even when Auckland Transport do a great thing, it's a secret. I mean, it's a complete secret. I don't know, they've got various people from the Stasi working in comms. I don't know.
So how far are we away from... 2 years ago I was in London. They have, is it rapid transport, or... Basically you don't wait for a bus. you go to the bus stop and one turns up within 5 minutes.
Turn up and go.
Yeah.
High frequency. Well, that's
High frequency.
That's
it.
the holy
How
grail.
far away are we from that?
Well, that is to some degree a function of scale and density, but at least on the rapid transit network, the rail system and the Northern Busway and places like Dominion Road, there are buses getting down to a minute. You know, that's not waiting.
That's pretty good.
Unfortunately, at that point, they also completely infarct and trip over each other and fail to work. Which is why you then need to upgrade to a higher capacity mode like rail. But then you get into religious arguments with the Ministry of Transport, who believe that steel wheels are evil. So, it gets to a higher argument.
I think we'll go to audience questions in a moment, but one more question for you in particular, Patrick. I mean, you have an agenda at Transport Blog. It's a clear one. You pursue it assiduously. What do you do about people who aren't on board? Because they have a right to their perspective. I mean, people who don't want intensification, people who don't want a bar of your new urbanism.
Well, the people who aren't on board, who engage with us, that's fine. The bigger problem, of course, is people that aren't there. I mean, that's a harder thing to deal with. I don't know how you deal with that. We have our trolls, our pet trolls. The 3 people in Northcote that don't want Skypath. They exist, but they can be. You've got to decide fairly early on: are they at the crank end of the spectrum, or are they, genuinely worth engaging with? We kind of wear them down with data, like we've worn you down.
I was up for it.
Yeah, I mean that's our approach. We try a relentlessly dull sort of turning the other cheek and not taking the insult and coming back with a fact, and that either drives them away or you can tell also because we allow anonymous comments, and this is a very thought through process. We allow that principally because anybody who actually knows anything in the field in the country almost certainly works in the field. So if we insisted on people using their full name, we wouldn't have a lot of expert advice because they wouldn't ever work again for NZTA. So this also means that you allow the general public to be random and anonymous. But there's various ways you can tell whether somebody's going to be a great mansplaining bore. If they have the word real in their handle, if they call themselves the real Matthew or something like that, or realist, they're about to start a sentence which is, as a ratepayer. So otherwise, some of them call themselves big. They sort of build themselves up. And it's funny because, of course, we can see their email address and they're generally called Steve. But, it's a thing. But engagement is better than shouting or blocking. I mean, that's what we try to avoid doing.
Right. Now, we have a bundle of questions there, but there's one thing I forgot to do after Matthew, and that's, Hugh, I hope you can hear me. I'm calling in that video now. We good?
Yes.
6. Have no clue.
From what I've heard, he's done good things for the city. He's pretty good, but I don't know, personally, I don't know for myself.
7.
My dad quite likes him.
Maybe a 6, 7, somewhere there.
Oh, I'd give him a solid 1.
Yeah, but about a half.
7. You should really be talking to my boyfriend. He knows all of this stuff. I don't know who that is.
He's the governor of Auckland at the moment, or whatever.
I'll give him a solid 7.
Should we go with a 7? A safe 7?
-10.
Just on the basis that he managed to get the ball rolling on the City Rail link.
No, I shouldn't say that. He's done some good things, but ultimately pretty poor. And I'm quite disappointed on his stance on heritage. 6.
Housing a bit flat, but yeah, I mean, transport. The fact that we got that underway, I'll give him a 7 just for that.
But I do like his initiative towards public transport. I think that's good, but in all other sectors he's really let us down. It's time for a change.
Interesting. Now, is Bill around? Because he's not sitting. Oh,
North Shore, which would be East Coast Bays. Oh, Howick.
Howick.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I used to be in Oh, I don't even know.
I don't know, sorry.
Devonport's and North Shore.
Pass.
No.
Nah.
Kaupāriki. On the shore. I believe.
Would that be the Auckland,
West Auckland.
Mount Albert sort of?
I haven't even registered to vote, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Same. Kind of lost right now.
Live on 95.
95. On Radio B.